Back when I finished my first challenge playthrough, the only magic others, it's pretty terrible, I looked for more subclasses that would be difficult to main. I was then reminded of Sentries. Sentries are stationary summon weapons that are meant to be used as an extra bit of damage. They are not meant to be high damage weapons. So I figured that only Sentries would be a great subclass challenge. It wouldn't be until the latter half of 2024 where I would start an only Sentries playthrough. But not just any old master mode playthrough, I decided to go head first into the Get Fixed Boy seed, which upgrades master mode into the secret legendary mode. This new mode makes enemies stronger, bosses harder, and my life worser. This challenge surpasses anything I have ever done in gaming. I had to fight against every obstacle the secret seeds bring in, as well as dealing with the game mode that I have never even beaten. I walked in not knowing if this was possible, but I didn't care. And with that, I uploaded a series of videos documenting the entire journey, and you are watching the combination of every single video. I started the playthrough with two big rules. 1. It's an only Sentries challenge. I'm not able to use any other weapons as a main source of damage. 2. However, when it comes to normal enemies that aren't bosses, I allowed the use of damage from mounts and accessories. The main goal of the challenge is to make sure Sentries are doing the heavy lifting with boss fights. With all that in mind, sit back, grab a root beer or whatever YouTubers say, and enjoy. My new miserable journey is one that our brand new character, Ice, will have to endure. Just as you do with any brand new playthrough, you make a world, and just like my last two playthroughs, I choose a large world for reasons I'll talk about later. I choose master mode, which will actually be upgraded to the secret legendary mode once I put in the Zenith seed, and the world evil doesn't matter in the seed, I just like the corruption. I eventually put in the secret password into the cool kids club and name my next 50 plus hours of gameplay appropriately. As soon as I load in, I notice three big things that I probably do not need to point out to you. First of which is, ew, gross, ugh, copper short sword, gross. Secondly, I'm in heck. I guess all the violent actions against the guide has finally caught up to me. Thirdly, the guide somehow didn't come with me. And fourth, he's now replaced by the princess, the steampunk, the party girl, the hard mode NPC no one cares about, and a parasite-ridden slime made out of the party girl's bathwater that we will gladly never acknowledge. This turned out to be really easy since everybody decided it was the perfect time to simply just die. So since the steampunk was named Whitney, we get our first weapon of the playthrough. That's right, yep, the Ivy. It does a gut blasting 0 damage and actually does absolutely nothing but makes noise that actually does nothing. It's our emotional support guitar. If you don't know about the Zenith seed or simply needed a reminder, it is a mix of every secret seed cooked up from Relogic's very own oven. But they seem to have done this silly little prank where they put it in the oven for 2 days straight at 6 bajillion degrees and it came out looking like a char stain on a lumpy piece of metal. Crispy Honey is now sentient and resentful. Ash now has a chance to fall when broken. The mushroom biome is absolutely everywhere, and our only way of progression is upwards. So we continue to mine up, and Moonlord legs. It's actually a fantastic movement armor piece that Moonlord himself is jealous of. Once we return home, we get some fallen star all over our hands and clap, making a mana crystal that we promptly crush up and snort. I imagine that spamming Sentries may be the thing I do the most in this playthrough, so having ample mana to do so will be vital. Also, fallen stars can drop from slimes and pots. I mean, so can lit bombs and set slimes, but you get the point. Since the constant is built into the world, darkness has hands and will strangle you. So I found this epic gamer strat where the sparks of a minecart will emit light and delay the inevitable. So my second recording of the playthrough contains the most grueling 30 minutes I think I've ever recorded. You know how in a usual playthrough video, the narrator sometimes has a compilation of every chest they found and what was inside? Well, I'm gonna do the same exact thing, but with deaths. Incineration by Honey, Zombie on Roids, Charlie, Piss Slime, Ice Mimic, Diseased Floating Eye, Zombie on Roids, a freaking Life Crystal Boulder, Zombie on Roids, Rectal Poison Dart, Stupid Fudging Ice Blade, Cornea Poison Dart, Mimic, Lava that does 200 damage, Sapphire Hook, Pink Bouncy Rock, Charlie, Zombie on Roids, Fall Damage, Charlie, Stupid Friendship Places, whoa, that's actually kinda good, Pelvis Poison Dart, an actual nuclear bomb, and a Medusa. In between all these deaths, I was able to progress a little bit with 7 life crystals and... Is that? I found him! Look! My main goal now was to make it to the surface, which is very boring. It's literally just digging up to the surface. Oh my gosh, flurry boots! Once I get to the surface, oh my gosh, yes! Once I get to the surface... Is that a living mahogany tree? Once I get to the surface, I'll be able to maybe actually get a weapon. I need more rope. Digging upwards is so abhorrently boring that I'd rather be doing anything else. Buying this rope to expand the heck heaven evader is more exciting than digging up. Once I get to the surface, I will build an absolute unit of an arena. And I already hear little Timmy in the back of the classroom picking his nose and saying along with the rest of the classroom, Hey, bath faucet, why would you build an arena if you can't even fight anything yet? Well, class. What weapon could I fight anything with? There's only 5 pre-hard mode sentries, 4 of which are sold by the Tavern Keep, who only spawns after the world evil boss is killed. The other one is the Houndiest Shootiest, which is dropped by Deerclops after killing it. And that's the issue. I have to kill in order to get any weapon. So what do? Do I get my NPCs to use their puny knives and arrows, doing 1 damage each to kill a boss with over 10,000 health? Do I use lava to burn away the sins of Deerclops? Do I bend the challenge to include mounts? No. I'm going to do something way zestier and way more painfuler. I'm going to make an arena where nothing can spawn, allowing a true 1v1 against me and the world evil boss, with the skies opened up to us so that fallen stars can occasionally rain down on the arena. And hopefully they will land on the boss, doing substantial damage. This was my current stupid plan, and it's pretty much bound to change because what the frick am I doing? But as this horrendous thing as my only plan, I figured that I must do it as soon as possible so I can actually do some sort of progression. I make it up to the lava layer, which is closer to the surface in the seed. This is inherited from the don't dig up seed. The surface is in the caverns, the underground in the caverns, and the caverns in the underground. After an hour and a half of digging through lava-infested crispy honey and countless bee-ridden hive blocks, it eventually stops. It's just all mud. If you haven't seen your fair share of Zenith seed, then you may expect the surface to have colorful trees, or maybe something similar to the LSD trip the mushroom biome gives on this world. Or you may be expecting to see an endless jungle because of the mud, and not the bees being implemented. What you probably didn't guess is a disgusting and cancerous, mentally degrading pile of corruption mixing with the pus-filled, unusually warm, eyeball-ridden piece of garbage known as the Crimson. As I get actually freaking de-intestinized by a Crimea, it dawns on me that I'm just not feeling it. In fact, I'm not feeling it so much that I end the recording. Hello, and welcome to my 72-hour stream where I strapped a camera to my face for 72 hours so you can experience the POV of me for 72 hours. I just woke up, so I will start my morning routine by having a diseased worm eat my insides. The second half of my morning is spent finding a jungle with a fishing rod that spreads fiberglass all over the various sea life that were unfortunate enough to live in my secret fishing spot. Once it's noon, I go back to Worm and Germ Haven, and down to the Crimson Caves to scratch that. Let's start our grand unit of an arena. Now, I cut about 15 minutes of me barely making progress and dying to worms. Worm? How am I supposed to make an entertaining video if all I'm doing is staring at a 15-second death timer longer than I am actually playing the game? It appears I will be cutting my 72-hour POV stream short. I hope you liked my 72 hours stream where I lost over 20 limbs somehow, and see you next This is around the time where my spine has this horrible chill, and it really made me have a tummy ache. I don't know why I did this. Looking back, I wish I simply didn't go for The Undertaker. What was I doing for a weapon I couldn't use? I don't know, I guess I could have sold it for money, or I guess I might have had some sort of fetish back then, I just don't remember. It could have been for some emotional support I desperately needed. I mean, it can't really be any of those options. I already have crimson enemies the size of the moon to tell me everything is going to be okay. I already have celestial bodies falling from the heavens to bestow me with a concussion. I already made a gel farm with a statue and minecart trap. I even have the goblins to help me. Oh, goblins! Oh no. Oh, that is bad. That is really, really bad. This isn't your average master mode angry mob. This is your above average toe-sucking goons who know 8 different ways of disemboweling you. I know I already used that joke in the intro, but I need to emphasize that killing goblins is not possible to do with a sentry when I don't have a sentry. That Crimson Heart I destroyed, I'm going to swallow that The Undertaker. How am I supposed to kill 100 entire goblins if I can't? Oh, it just so happens that I need to continue working on the arena, and the goblins seem just fine walking into lava, which doesn't do a lick of damage outside of the fire debuff. This is a trait inherited from the Don't Dig Up seed, which increases the base damage of lava to 200 for players and a measly 0 for enemies, but they are still inflicted with the On Fire debuff, which does an astounding 4 DPS. Every single enemy, goblin toe suckers or not, only takes 4 DPS from lava. So I am left with treating Terraria as a bullet heck as 6 goblin sorcerers hurl their wall-phasing balls at me. This took an hour and 40 minutes. That's actually not as long as I thought it would be. Building this arena is not really that fun. I am bored out of my mind watching in the 9, 8, 7. I have just the tune in mind to listen to as I do something marginally more entertaining. Instead of taking hours to build a giant arena for game progression, I take hours to build a home base that is completely optional and isn't necessary for getting a sentry. But I figured that I should at least make something since my last 2 playthroughs had something special. There was the forest-dwelling wooden gooning castle, and of course I can't forget the sky pill. So let's get a little zesty with our housing placement. I've already been to space in the forest. Yeah, you can already see where I'm building. It's the sneaky secret ice command center. The secret ice base, if you will. This is what it looks like in the blood moon. Looking spiffy. Now we have some pylon action to be closer to the surface. Okay, back to arena building. With the lava pit preventing enemies from spawning and 2 large walls enclosing the arena, I build a skybox small enough so that none of it can go off screen, which, you know, would spawn enemies if it were off screen. I immediately forget that, and you can guess what happens. My ability to stay alive in the underground crimson is similar to a cat's ability to stay alive on a busy freeway, so I'll need to make some bloody spines to avoid breaking more crimson hearts. To do that, I need vertebrae, which drops from various crimson enemies. Therefore, making an AFK crimson enemy cheek slapper farm will be perfect for their taking 4 DPS. After doing various tasks around the house, I sat at my desk watching Astral Spit videos. I was able to gather 513 vertebrae. This is more than enough, and I still need vicious powder from vicious mushrooms in order to make the spine. Vicious powder. Mood. After scarab bombing my way to a demon altar in the crimson, I cook up 2 bloody spines. I then proceeded to go to the desert for scarab bombs for some reason, then made a minecart track towards the jungle so that it's easier to access. The frick is this? Okay, doesn't matter. I smash a vital crystal into my forehead to get some extra regen. I crush up an arcane crystal into a fine powder and do the same thing that I did with the mana crystals, and then I eat ambrosia, the glass and all. My last preparations involve 3 heart lamps, corrupted housing, I can't believe I forgot about that, a campfire, a honey sauna, a respawn room, and a gnome, which grants me a minuscule amount of luck. I'm gonna need it. Our first attempt... What the frick is happening? Our first attempt went so well that the brain didn't even touch us. He got so scared of our sheer testosterone-filled gamer bods and proceeded to run away. I didn't have enough crimstone blocks down. Our first real attempt starts with the Crimea. You see, we made a bloody spine for the Brain of Cthulhu, but when we tried to give it the spine, it misunderstood and took my spine instead. That puts me at a total of 0 spines. Maybe I could travel to the surface easier if I... Okay. Cool to see a sandstorm in a bottle in a purple pyramid. Why is it purple? On our 3rd attempt, the brain doesn't exist. I'm not going to fight the brain. And I'm not necessarily going to wait for fallen stars to kill a cheeks-eating worm either. In fact, I realized I didn't even need fallen stars at all. So, Terraria has this thing called an NPC limit. And NPCs in this game doesn't only include the town NPCs. NPCs include enemies, bosses, critters, NPCs. Wait, there can only be 200 NPCs in the game at once. Once this limit is reached, it will effectively stop most things from spawning. I'm not going to explain the entire process here. I might link a wiki page about there's a wiki page about it. Why would I even care about an NPC limit that I heard absolutely no one asking? Well, it turns out that the worm segments are also NPCs, and the Eater of Worlds has many worm segments. So if you reach the NPC limit, which is easily done with dummies and beehives, then open up a few NPC slots for the Eater, you get Tiny Eater, not eating worlds but its own self-esteem. Here's a little Wormage 101 for you. A worm segment, Eater of Worlds or not, cannot exist on its own. Every worm type of enemy must at least have a head and a tail. 2 segments, 2 NPCs. It's like when you kill the second to last segment on the Eater of Worlds. The tail doesn't just live on its own, it dies along with the segment killed. So the question becomes, what would happen if you only left 1 NPC slot for the Eater of Worlds to spawn in? It immediately dies. Only 1 segment could spawn, which cannot exist on its own, so it is coded to just die. And that was it. I beat the world evil boss without doing any damage to it at all. Was it kind of cheap to cheese the game in order to kill the world evil boss instantly? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. The thing about an only Sentries playthrough is that you need a sentry. And technically no rule was broken when the Eater couldn't handle itself without a body. This is only the first part to getting our hands on a sentry, since the Eater doesn't actually drop a sentry. Defeating it makes it possible for the Tavern Keep to spawn, who does sell sentries. So I chug a hunter potion and walk back and forth in the caves until, hello. I walk over to the passed out drunk man, slap his bald head 4.5 times, and tickle his eyebrows. He seems unfazed by this interaction and gives me 10 defender medals as soon as I mention crystals. I take this opportunity to buy a flameburst rod and several crystals. I chose the flameburst rod because of its ability to not suck as bad as the other sentries. Our first weapon! This only took 12 recordings, and I can't even use it yet. In order to use any of the Tavern Keep sentries, you must first defeat the old one's army. army. Oh yes, I have rewritten this part of the script at least 2 times. Outside of the old one's army, you can only have a limited amount of sentries placed down. It's like how a normal summoner increases their minion count with accessories and armor, but the minion count is different from your sentry count, meaning there are separate armor sets and accessories for normal summoners and sentry users. By default, you get 1 sentry slot, so I'm able to only place 1 sentry. However, the old one's army got a little bit quirky with it. During the old one's army, the tavern keep sentries do not have a limit to how many you could place, but in order to prevent you from placing down infinity sentries, they cost 10 Ethereum mana, different from the normal Terrarian mana we're used to. You only get Ethereum mana from the start of the event and slowly by killing enemies. All the Ethereum mana and tavern keep sentries disappear once you either beat the old one's army or they beat you. This is all to say, I am not getting enough mana to fend off the army, so I hammer a block into a wedge and block swap it into a platform, which does some weird crap with the game I don't really understand, but it somehow prevents everything from walking past. This does 2 big things for me. First is that they can't reach the crystal, which is how you lose, and second is that they are grouped together, allowing my flame burst rod to do ideal crowd control damage. Everything came to a harsh, crushing reality when the 4th wave introduces these stupid little pieces of stupid idiots with their main personality trait being able to fly. I have a solution for this, which is an exploit that I am surprised hasn't been patched yet. Since Ethereum mana is an item, you could place it in a chest which will save throughout several Old One's Army events. So after saving up mana from dozens of events, this took way longer than it needed to, but I finally bring out my 979 mana. That is enough for 97 flameburst sentries. Most of the army can't even leave the portal without getting the power of the sun blasted at them. I did not need 979 mana. I could have done this way faster. The wyverns cannot keep up and are no longer an issue. The final wave of the tier 1 Old One's army is the Dark Mage, who does some weird magic. Holy flippin' shiz. Once the mage falls, the crystal begins to shine, rewarding me with 3 defender medals. Wow. The Dark Mage dropped a war table, a furniture item that grants me a buff which allows me to have an extra sentry placed down, and the apprentice scarf, which is an accessory that allows me to have an extra sentry placed down. The mage does drop another accessory that does the exact same thing as the scarf, but Relogic thought it would be kind of funny if we made the effects not stack. There are 2 other accessories that do the exact same thing and not stack with each other. I mean, I get it for balancing reasons, but like, why 4 different accessories? Like, you could just have 1. This maxes out my sentry count at 3 for the rest of pre-hard mode. With these 3 sentry slots, I could use not the flameburst rod if I wanted to, because there's 3 more sentries the tavern keep sells in pre-hard mode. Each of them costs 5 defender medals, which I have more than enough because of the unnecessary amount of grinding I did. The ballista rod summons a ballista, which I looked up on Google and found is just a scorpion from Age of Empires without the wheels. It has high pierce and crap reload speed and can't even pop a lead bloom. There's also the explosive trap rod, which is the landmine not sold by the demolitionist. It's slow and explodes. It's basically just a ballista rod with more pierce. The lightning aura rod is the last sentry from the tavern keep, and I would compare it to a tack shooter, but it wouldn't work since the tack shooter is actually good. Whenever an enemy walks into the aura, it takes damage and ignores defense and actually deals an extra half of their defense back to them. I didn't know that at the time, therefore it sucks. To celebrate my brand new ability to fight, I built an extension to the Sneakret ice base, a trophy room which will hopefully fill up with the various trinkets that bosses drop in Master/Legendary mode. Remember like 15 seconds ago when I said I hated the lightning aura rod? Well, let's use the lightning aura rod. It may suck, but so does King Slime. Ignoring the fact that King Slime looks like he ate the entire population of Norway, we use the technique of spamming sentries, making the King Slime always take damage in my level 4 aura rod. Allow me to show you the sheer amount of excitement this fight had me in. Make sure to sit down so you can stand up again, just so you have enough room for your jaw to hit the floor because of how riveting this fight is. Are you ready? It will knock your socks off. It's hard to notice for the human ear, but I actually screamed so hard in excitement from winning that battle that my mic cut out and promptly caught on fire. It couldn't take the infinity decibels I was able to extrude from my lungs. My mic is now burning the house down because of that something that smells like... You know, my smell hasn't always been great, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a one-shot Johnson epic victory #1 royale. I rip open King Slime's treasure bag to find my mount for the rest of this video. The slimy saddle has vertical movement and boy does it have vertical movement. It also has the ability to Goomba stomp the shit out of my enemies, which in this playthrough is a big no-no when it comes to game progression. Speaking of game progression, Big Floaty Eyeball wants to eat my skin. I had this odd desire to utilize every sentry at least once in this playthrough, which is not a rule I'm making because no. But I started using mind sentries and it didn't work horribly. Definitely not the most kosher way to beat the eye, but it is very effective in second phase where Mr. Child Support McGee retreats into the floor every few dashes to spawn more servant eyeballs. Again, this is legendary mode. I'm surprised Relogic made the World Evil boss beatable. They really like grouping up, so landmines are the answer. Remember, the correct answer to crowd control is landmine. Groups of unsuspecting eyeballs, landmine. Traffic jam, landmine. Hospital, respect. Okay, I'm running out of jokes. Can this fight be over now? This is unfortunately going to be a common theme throughout the playthrough. Lack of damage. I need to bait the Eye of Cthulhu into the traps, dealing okay damage, and then I have to wait until I can bait him back into the traps. This will be a great and fun dynamic. I'll be forced to... Wait, 11 a.m.? Since the Zenith / Get Fixed Boy / Brain Ticular Torsion mode has the Don't Dig Up seed implemented, it is eternally nighttime. So nighttime bosses like the Eye of Cthulhu, mech bosses, Skeletron, no longer have a time limit before they despawn or enrage. I gently eviscerate the treasure bag the eye drops and come face to face with the Shield of Cthulhu. It allows me to dash, even into enemies, which deals damage due to its rank smelling breath. Huh? What's this I'm doing? Jumping straight to the next boss, Brain of Cthulhu. I barely let myself have any time to celebrate my second epic #1 victory, Roy. Okay. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Staff of Regrowth. Staff of Regrowth? More like acts of regrowth. Game progression, more like game progression, because I am going to jump off. Okay, screw the Brain of Cthulhu. I'll fight Queen Bee. There's a demon altar in the way. I guess that will be my boss summon Craftinator from now on, which is a vast improvement from my previous method of YOLOing it to the surface. After the arena is done, I build a second set of NPC pylon housing for some reason. I find my way into a juiced up Gigantosaurus beehive so I can get the materials to craft a summon for Queen P. The word bee kind of sounds like the word pee, and honey looks like peas, so I think we should be questioning why bee piss is so thick and viscous. Normal pee reaches its boiling point as soon as it leaves the body, so its ability to exist as a liquid is scientifically revolutionary, to say the least. I cannot tell you the amount of times I tinted the light bulbs in the bathroom yellow. Okay, I am taking this joke way too far. I don't really know what to use for Queen Bee, so I went with Old Reliable. I'm luckily able to do consistent damage because of a technique I found all the way back in my Magic Others playthrough. If you spin around Queen Bee a couple times, something I call the spin cycle, something in her skittle-sized brain short circuits and makes her run in place, clapping her hands together like a seal. However, this is a delicate process. If you mess up the spin cycle, it will turn her short circuit into an int circuit, eventually turning it into a long circuit, allowing her usual attacks to commence. I tried to nurse heal and got absolutely body slammed. Attempt 2 went so poorly I forgot that using the magic mirror doesn't despawn her. Attempt 3 is the same as attempt 1. Place down sentries, spin cycle, make a couple pee jokes that makes the dance floor a little bit uncomfortable, then freak the heck out as Queen Bee long circuits. Okay, never mind. What can I say? She's lost in the sauce again. You know what? Past me, just stand there. With the marshmallow. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. The constant secret seed adds a hunger mechanic, which you combat by eating food items. The merchant sells marshmallows when he's living in the snow biome, which is where I put my sneaker ice base. They cost 1 silver, making it an easy solution to the hunger mechanic. Beating Queen P doesn't really do anything for me. The bee armor is worse than obsidian when it comes to damage. I'm really just beating every boss because I find it fun. Alright, brain time. I make an underground crimson arena so I can blast a brain. A brain blast, if you will. After about a half hour, I cooked up a decent arena where I promptly get absolutely destroyed. The thing with the Brain of Cthulhu is that he teleports inside of you, giving you approximately 6 frames to dodge his attacks. That's an exaggeration, but you see how it requires godlike reflexes to not get hit in this situation. I don't want to fight Brain yet. That leaves Skeletron or Deerclops, and I am all out of Void Bag. Skeletron is fought at the dungeon, which doesn't spawn normally in the seed. There's a very special type of living tree that grows down into the underground, which is where the dungeon is. I have no chance of getting there on the surface, so I make my way through the desert to get there. It is here where I find the mystery mouse McTool, which will become very important later in the playthrough. I Scarabomb my way into a granite cave glitched into the dungeon, and feel a wave of nostalgia while editing this. Not like good nostalgia, bad nostalgia. yeah, seeing this place before I transformed it's like a surreal out-of-body experience. It is here where I go home and mine hexstone, because I haven't done that yet, and I want molten armor for its tremendous amount of defense. Is that a freaking alchemy table? That was the most worth thing I have done in this playthrough. You may have noticed that I have swag drippier than everything in your wardrobe combined. Frost spark boots and obsidian water walking boots? That is 2 accessories off from the legendary Terra Spark kicks. One of them is the lava charm, which has a low chance of spawning inside of chests at the quote-unquote lava layer. Dude, this is the Zenith seed. Is the lava charm spawning independent from the layer and only tied to its altitude, or is it actually tied to the layer? I first checked the layers where the lava layer usually is in normal worlds, which had tons of chests, just no lava charm. I go up to where I actually see lava, and I really expect the same result. That was freaking instantly. The last accessory for the Terra Spark ones is the Obsidian Rose, which drops from the teleporting freaks in the underworld. Luckily, I do have an imp statue from my time exploring. The imps that spawn from statues are able to drop the rose, just at a lower rate. But I don't care about the rate, I am grinding this out. And oh my gosh, I am adding a frame hold because watching the screen go back and forth gave me the confused debuff IRL. I never go for Terra Spark boots in other playthroughs, but this particular playthrough seems like the perfect one to have overpowered accessories. The Terra Spark boots combine several abilities together to create the best sprinting accessory in the game. This accessory is going in this accessory slot for the rest of the playthrough. It is too OP to unequip. The Taco Bell inhaling crispy honey has nothing against Terra Spark boots. Red himself has nothing against Terra Spark. Why? Why? I haven't killed Bonesman yet. Speaking of Bonesman, it's about time I make an arena for him. Spoiler warning, this fight, I think the only good thing about this seed is that it's permanently nighttime and I had infinity time to beat this guy. I make an arena similar to the brain blasting one, but way better, and YOLO it. So it turns out teleporting to the arena despawns him. Guess I'll just lead him down to the arena like I'm taking Cerberus on a walk. I get into a similar dance to Queen Bee's spin cycle, but this time it is different since Skeletron doesn't have a brain to short circuit. Enemies keep spawning and screwing with my spin cycle. To combat the whole random enemies spawning thing, I get an unruly amount of walls and deck out the arena with a new snow brick fit. This is probably the only and last time I will ever use a cement mixer in Terraria. With that done, I tickle the old man and prove to the world that I am incapable of learning a lesson. You know what, man? Heck it! Some of you might be questioning why I thought it would be a good idea to begin fishing. Well, first of all, it's to get a freaking demon conch on my first 5 catches. Dream luck is going crazy. And second of all, I knew I was going to be in this playthrough for a long time. If I wanted to make the experience just a little more convenient, I may as well go for the shell phone. I already have to wait a while until the old man respawns, so may as well start the angler fishing quests early. And yes, I know I'm fishing in lava, I wanted dry bombs. The next attempt of Yeel's Sands reference is literally the same exact thing as last time. Spin cycle and wait until the minuscule damage from the sentries take him down. About 8 minutes later, one of the hands crippled to my sentries while the other is dangerously close to fracturing. I also changed 2 of my flame burst sentries to the mine traps since the flame burst sentries tend to miss their shots at point blank range. This means that I need to bait Skeletron into the traps, which I honestly think is a better strategy than having flame bursts miss at point blank range. Another minute passes and the other hand explodes to a mine trap, and not the remaining flame bursts who probably just would have missed at point blank range. It is here where something magical happens. A little quirk is added to all the bosses in legendary mode. This is where these little quirks will massively affect the way I play the game. Other than the world evil boss, I did not play that normally. Dark casters begin spawning, because why not? I'm sure I was freaking out in the moment, but I could never know since my mic was muted during the recording. I placed down a second flame burst so that I can hit the casters more often, which will prevent them from shooting more wall-phasing balls at me. Did I ever mention that I made an herb garden? Anyways, I have potions now. So my strategy for the Skeletron fight is... Okay, sorry, let me fast forward 9 minutes. My strategy is still the classic spin cycle, but now I have to dodge the water balls and randomly teleporting casters. Skeletron has 2 main attacks in the no hands phase, spinning and hurling. I just made those names up, I demand them to be official. When he is hurling, he hurls skirls at you, which the spin cycle strat easily dodges. So as long as I keep circling around him, the hurling phase will be easy. Skeletron's spinning attack is when he stops hurling skulls and goes directly at me. You'll know when he's in his spinning phase when he starts spinning. This indicates that he will eviscerate you if you touch him. Honestly, Skeletron himself isn't the big issue in this battle, it's the casters. If they teleport in the wrong spot, you can get launched back into Skeletron's head spinning. If this happens, which it did, hit the mount button and hope you have a slimy saddle. This is a strategy I found a while ago when fighting the Brain of Cthulhu. If you are ever stuck inside of an enemy, don't use the magic mirror, it will take too long. If you have a recall, you could use that, but if you don't, use the slimy saddle to bounce out of there quickly. Then keep spin cycling or whatever you do against the enemy you're fighting. I eventually get down to half of his health left. And shoutouts to the nurse for making me not extremely stressed the entire time. I took a Reds potion, which gives you 3 random buffs for 30 minutes. You could see that throughout the fight, but in this last clip, they're gone. That was one of the most stressful fights I have ever done. I don't mean stress as in like stress. That fight was fun. I may have been spin cycling for 30 minutes, but the random dart caster of teleports forces you to react in different ways than you would normally. It's a fight that I know, but with a punch of dart caster pizzazz. And I loved doing it. With Skeletor finally dead, I can go into the dark and spooky dungeon where the skeletons use the word bone as a verb for some unorthodox reason. Okay, I'm sorry. As I'm writing the script, Roar of the Jungle Dragon is blasting through my headphones, and I don't think there has been any other song in existence to make my soul leave my body and start breakdancing with all the other people's spirits who are also listening to this song. With the golden keys, I can open Sky Island chests. Stupid freaking magnet. This is just another little thing that a secret seed adds to the Zenith mode experience. Which secret seed? I don't know, I'm just trying to get the horseshoe. And a balloon. Stupid freaking magnet! Once I do find a horseshoe, I make the sandstone balloon horseshoe thing. You know what boss I haven't touched in a while? Blasting Brain Boy. This time I have ballista sentries to pierce through all the creepers. I really thought this would be a pushover boss now that I have a proper set of weapons, but the brain's teleportation crap is not funny. Wait a minute. I beat Skeletron. With the mechanic, I can not only see all the traps this world generated, but I'm also able to buy teleporters. If I hook up 2 teleporters on opposite corners of the arena, the brain hopefully won't be able to hit me. You know, this is actually working. First phase is dealt with pretty easily, and the Brain of Cthulhu's legendary mode, quote-unquote, quirk, is flipping gravity in the second phase. This makes platforms cannon fodder and my teleporters pretty much useless. So what if I simply make them not useless? Ignore that. I made another set of teleporters inside of a box so that the gravity flipping makes the teleporters still easily usable. Wait, no I didn't. Okay, I swear I made boxes eventually. I actually could have sworn I made boxes. I thought that's how I did it. With blasting Brain Boy Bobby dead on the streets of Crimson Avenue, I get an idea involving the shimmer. I have this issue where the shimmer is generated in the most inaccessible spot I have ever had the misfortune to witness, so if I'm able to get some at my house, I could easily decraft, shimmer reforge, and get other permanent upgrades without having to travel through Red's interpretation of a spider ripping open my insides. This is actually not that difficult to do. If you put down an inlet pump in the shimmer, then wire it to an outlet pump in the lever, shimmer will be transported from the inlet to the outlet. Fun fact, did you know that purifying vile or vicious mushrooms on a mud block converts it to a jungle spore? I mean, it makes sense, but I need shrooms. Never mind, I have a mushroom farm now. Alright, I think that's enough shenanigans. It's time to grind for another sentry weapon. This time, it's not a crossover sentry from the Tavern Keep, it's a crossover sentry from Deerclops. I summon little hairy bro et up, and I do what I always do for every fight. This is the true pre-1.4 summoner experience. All you do is dodge and let your weapon do its thing. It just so happens that my weapons suck. Unlike normal bosses, Deerclops doesn't despawn if you die, unless it's been 24 hours and you're out of range of Deerclops. So dying is barely a penalty. There's really nothing special about this fight, just like Don't Starve, once you learn the attack patterns, it's pretty easy. First try Houndius Shootius? My luck. I feel it fading. I mean, it is deranged beyond humanity, which, yeah, mood, but I just got it first try. The Houndius Shootius is your basic sentry weapon. It shoots. The only thing special is that it does damage that is maybe better than the Flame Burst if you're attacking a single target. There's a reason why the Wall of Flesh deserved its own 15 to 20 minute video. There is a very specific line in my Launched Flails video that will forever accurately describe my feelings towards this part in game progression. We are at the worst part of this absolute banger of a game. I hate Wall of Flesh preparation. Building a Wall of Flesh arena is sometimes the part of the game where I consider giving up and playing a game that would provide a more enjoyable experience. I could go for the classic water walking potions, which most times I do, but this is a I beat Terraria with only insert weapon subclass here video. It's not like I'm gonna triumph over a wall with over 28,000 health with my dinky little peepers. If I'm going to progress, it's going to be through sweat strats with a side of cheese. But we're not at that part of the video yet, just give it like 4 minutes. I'm making the arena out of ashwood platforms because ashwood is abundant in this world, and it doesn't burn when lava falls onto it. It doesn't really matter because of how much I'm dying. It is so bad that I made several respawn runes across the underworld so I can just make a little bit more progress on the arena. Sometimes I don't even want to deal with death, so I just reload. Sentries were not intended to be a main source of damage, and it's worse when contact damage is increased by about 77%. That's something that exists. But you want to know what makes me the most angry? It is something that I call the worst part of the best game in existence. 15-second respawn timer. What? I had to rewrite this part of the script so that it doesn't take up 10 minutes of this video. TLDR, it's only necessary for a respawn timer to exist while a boss is despawning or you die in multiplayer while a boss is still active. I plead to Relogic to do what the Calamity mod does and reduce the timer to 3 seconds when a boss isn't active. Or pull a Minecraft and let the player click respawn whenever they're ready. I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at the game, but I die a lot in these challenges. I just want a lick of mercy. The Wall of Flesh is similar to the honey blocks where it drank 2 gallons of coffee. The wall gets really fast as its health lowers. In order to combat this, I begin golfing. I am still shocked that this sport still exists. If you get enough golf points, you can get a golf cart, which goes pretty fast. Not really, but enough to outrun the wall for most of the fight. I place a couple golf cup things at the bottom of my excavator and hit a golf ball from the top to get giga points. Fuck. I get enough points to buy the golf cart keys, and this time it doesn't smell like a public restroom. It smells like cologne. Anyways, I finished the Wall of Flesh arena off camera, and just like every school assignment I've ever done, it's not very good, but it exists. I make pylon housing on the left side of the world, so I have as much time as possible to beat the Wall of Flesh. This is why I made the world large. The larger the world, the longer it takes for the wall to reach the other side. I then break as many queen bee larvae as I can so that they don't do that during the Wall of Flesh fight. They got bored and gave up. I'm kinda tempted to see how I do with my current setup. So farewell, Kyle the Guide. The Wall of Flesh has a few legendary mode changes. His eyes and mouth are tiny, which is very inconvenient, and the wall took notes from my grueling Skeletron fight and summons its own wall-facing ball minions. You can't even kill the fireballs. You are forced to deal with Terraria and JSeb at the same time. I'm gonna need to prepare far more than I ever had before. Wait, that rhymes. So I collect a lot of amber and water leaf and crafted potions I would never force anyone to craft. It's time to fish. Apparently Relogic thought it would be a great idea to lock very good potions behind the most boring mechanic a game could add. Stardew Valley does fishing the good way. Terraria makes it waiting simulator, which I'm actually not that opposed to. I'm just 15-second respawn timer. Guys, I have an idea. Never mind. Guys, I have another idea. Never mind. While I'm fishing, I come up with a rather intriguing idea. 199 bees. I'm going to use this strategy in order to prevent fire imps from spawning and hopefully still do enough damage to kill the wall, but a small issue rises when bees despawn off screen. So I'm going to have to make a long tunnel at the top of the arena so the bees will be on my screen throughout the entire underworld, making it impossible for them to despawn. But another small issue rises when it makes me have to build another bridge across the entire underworld. I actually have to make a ceiling to a Wall of Flesh arena, which means a lot of more digging, dying, placing blocks, dying, and even more digging. It was going to be unfun and tedious, and I knew it was going to be not fun and tedious, so I just didn't record any of it. Whenever I choose not to record anything, I usually record a little bit of it so that I have some footage to show, but I just didn't do that here. If you want to accuse me of cheating, then yeah, sort of. The 15-second respawn timer finally got to me, and I ended up using a spore sack to stop enemies from putting me back to the death screen. So that one rule about using damaging accessories was broken here, but I honestly don't care. I'm only using it as a tool to finish the arena faster. Rest assured that I will not be using it against bosses. It's only for convenience and maintaining sanity. Once it's done, I place down the dummies and deploy the bees. Then I start the grind for beating 4 times base chips. For my first real attempt, I made 2 pair as I got trousers early on, and it levels decent. No, it doesn't. Similar to the Skeletron fight, it takes a long time to make progress. The Wall of Flesh is just the biggest middle finger to me, as it relies on the size of the world. I need to deal enough damage to it so it doesn't cook me once I reach the end of the arena. A good way to see how I'm doing is looking at the terrain. The outer thirds or fourths of the underworld is where the obsidian frat housing is, and then the closer you get to the middle, you'll find the usual ashwood biome followed by a large lake of lava. And finally, there's the plateau marking the middle of the underworld. I made it to the plateau while the wall was still above half health. month. Pretty discouraging that I've made a giant arena for nothing. So let's procrastinate by watching Ashel spiff while fishing. Hello everybody, my name is... really quiet, hold up. Hello everybody, my name is not Markiplier, and today I'm gonna fish for 5 hours straight, and I want the shell phone, which requires the PDA, which requires the fish finder, which requires 3 accessory from an angsty teen. We have a brand new REK, meaning that I fished up a radar. I also got the weather radio and the sextant, and I am still waiting on that fisherman's pocket guide, which let's see if we get that right now. Where is it? There's this new chest with some very epic potions we will be using for the Wall of Flesh battle. We also have 20 obsidian lockboxes to demonstrate how many crates I had to fish up just to get this bad boy. And I wanted this bad boy so I could fish up this bad boy much faster. The lava absorbent sponge, very good, very nice. I also ended up procrastinating so much that I got more wrath and rage potions than iron skin. I don't even need rage potions because its only purpose is to increase crit chance. And guess what sentries don't have? It don't do anything. And we also have a whole lot of water leaf. I don't know if I did that on camera. Yeah, that was like the past 6 hours of this playthrough was fishing and doing the random goblin evasions, which I swear is way more common, and I'm very angry. This playthrough went through a period of time where I just put off the wall fight and just stacked up on quest fish. If you ever plan to stack up on quest fish, make sure to put the quest fish outside of your inventory like a piggy bank, because the game won't allow you to catch another quest fish if one is already in your inventory. I just keep on doing fishing quests for the shell phone. In fact, I have an entire recording where I paused whenever I wasn't getting my quest rewards. I eventually did get the last piece of the fish finder, and therefore PDA, and therefore cell phone, and therefore shell phone. My inventory thanks me. There's also this 48-second recording where it's just me getting a golden fishing rod. That's it. You know, for a video about beating the Wall of Flesh, there's a surprising lack of beating the Wall of Flesh. I use the same exact strategy of maining 2-pair, but this time I get lucky with the cards dealt to me. My extreme intellect remembers that mana potions only reduce magic damage, not summon damage. That means I can simply spam sentries with no consequences. What is that? Looks like I forgot to patch that hole. Oops. The stupid... gonna drink water. Next run I reforge. Next run I again main 2-pair, but this time I chose the checker deck. But it seems that the wall still has another party trick I haven't fully accounted for. A fourth and final small issue arises once I realize that bees cannot keep up with the wall's crippling energy drink addiction. I really cheated to build a tunnel that ended up amounting to nothing. Is what a realist would say. I would never be a realist. I'm an optimist spiff enjoyer. And I simply see this as a discovery of how to not beat the Wall of Flesh. But now what? Main 3 of a kind? Yeah, let's try that. I switched out my DST references for Dungeon Defender references, and had the thought that if I could pierce through 3 wall targets, then it would do enough damage to kill it. This wasn't an option before because NPC limiting, but I was always able to just leave 3 NPC slots open to allow the eyes to spawn. But in testing that, the top eye kept on going into the tunnel and killing the bees, and I suck. This fight just feels so possible, just like the Skeletron fight, but it just requires so much more precision. Making sure the ballistas shoot at the right time to pierce multiple eyes, and not getting balled or hungried or lasered or leeched, or... It dawns on me. In order for me to beat the wall, I have to get good. No, I don't want to do that. I didn't do that for the Eater of Worlds. What if the wall eventually becomes too fast to pierce multiple targets? What if it actually is impossible? What if I'm actually bad at the game? This can't be the end of this run. There has to be another way. If anybody were to take anything away from this game's lore, it's that there isn't one. The name of Terraria literally comes from the word terrarium. This game is meant to be like having your own little world where you can dig, explore, fight, and build. I know how this game works, and I know how to read like 10% of its code maybe. If I was able to beat the Eater of Worlds in an instant, then I could definitely come up with a way to at least kill the Wall of Flesh quickly. Wait a burger flippin' second, how did I even get these sentries to function in the first place? I had to cheese the ever-loving heck out of the Old One's army by exploiting how chests save items. It allowed me to put down infinity sentries, but only during the Old One's event. Wait another burger flippin' second. I go onto T-Mod Loader, enable Fargo's Mutant Mod, and cheat sheet. I quickly make a new arena and start the Old Ones. And would you look at that? I feel a rush of ideas and seemingly every emotion at the same time, yes, including that one, and potentially a new thumbnail and title. 1,000 sentries versus the Wall of Flesh. No. No. I knew this exploit existed and I've done it before, but it just never came to me while playing this playthrough. I was so caught up in trying new and zesty ideas that I forgot what caused my upbringing. Maining flush. This is just so absurd, dude. 650s. All you need is 650 sentries in order to kill the wall of flesh in the legendary mode. Oh my gosh. What the crap? Let's close this. Bro. Okay, this is way more effective. Probably because I have menacing on everything. Oh my, wait, God mode's still enabled. Hold on. Let's do that. Let's do that again. You can't touch me. Ah! Bruh. Ah! I just want to keep on doing this. Like, I'm never gonna do this again. This is so fun. Just get slapped by sentries. Sentries are so overpowered. It's just this wall of arrows. Dude, you could do this with any boss, I think. Just pile up a ton of Ethereal mana, start the event, then unleash heck onto whatever boss deserves it. All I need to do now is exactly that. Spend even more dozens of hours of my life grinding for enough Ethereal mana to kill the wall. But lucky for me, I think that's a pretty stupid idea. With Cheat Sheet, I was able to instantly get the mana, and yes, it is technically cheating, but I spent so long already trying to beat the boss, and I wasn't about to spend more to prove that you can do it legitimately. If you want to beat the Wall of Flesh this way in Legendary mode, that's great, man. You know, I honestly would kind of want to see that, actually. I did this on a separate world, so the original world still needs to have a wall slapped around. Guess who's mother flipping back, mother flippers? I already beat the Wall of Flesh, so that's going to mark the end of pre-hard mode. And, you know, I feel humbled. All I can really say is, finally! Holy crap, that took forever. 21st century? More like billion... After the Wall of Flesh, I made a new rule where I can only use the old one's cheese as a last resort. I felt that abusing the strategy defeats the purpose of the challenge, so from now on, I will try to avoid using it at all costs. With the wall officially dead, we get the Demon Heart, an emblem that will immediately be put into the shimmer, and heck all, frick all, shoot all. Hard mode brings a whole lot to the game, namely a wide range of new accessories, armor, weapons, and a grind to have access to all of it. What will I do first? Surely I'll go break a bunch of altars so I can get armor, or maybe get a weapon so I can fend off the new hard mode enemies that infest the evil biomes? Yeah, let's do that. Fishing quests! Nothing else in a video game will excite me more than Waiting Simulator. The angler does have a small chance to get fish wings and honey sponge, so I'll be returning every day for another chance at the casino. Let's see what's on the menu for hard mode ores. Usually 3 altars should give it away, but 3 times 2 is 6 and 6 is double 3. Never mind 3 because there are 6 ores. Scratch that, 21 ores because 6 times 6 is 36, and note the first number in the number 36. It's 3! And 3 is less than 6, and 6 can't beat 21. However, the number 2 and the number 3 have an affair that results in 6. So what's on the menu? It's 3 times 6 divided by 6 times 3 minus 3, which equals all of them. All of the hard mode ores spawn in the seed. I recently watched the Big Mining video by Shorebay Cafe and now fully understand that the game is far more enjoyable if you understand what you're doing. Did you know you were able to mine this fast? Well, I did because this was recorded last year. I go up to the neighborhood spider cave to grind for my next weapon. Despite the incredibly limited amount of sentries in the game, there happens to be one at the very beginning of hard mode. And this time it's not a crossover sentry. It's the pure vanilla Spider Queen sentry. It needs 24 spider fangs, which drop from those enemies that have 1,000,000 health. So I use the Goomba Stomp strategy to make this go marginally faster. The Spider Queen staff provides a wide range of abilities, such as shooting a projectile affected by gravity. But it's cool because when it hits something, the projectile doesn't deal damage, but does spawn 2 to 4 new projectiles that do deal damage, and inflict the venom debuff. That's a crazy cool 30 DPS on top of however many spiders spawn. To accompany my new weapon, I make the coolest looking armor in the game. The helmet alone gives more defense than my previous build. Saying that adamantite armor is bad is as embarrassing as admitting you think defeating daytime empress is the peak of Terraria gaming. Both of these statements are simply incorrect. And don't even bring titanium into the question. Even it can't beat the amount of aura adamantite emits. Would you rather have epic stat boosts with more movement speed, or have pieces of trash orbit around you? Titanium armor sucks! The correct thing to do is make the titanium pickaxe, because it is better than the adamantite one, then mix armor sets sets to maximize stat bonuses and defense. None of this is specifically benefiting summon damage, but I have nothing else except for the spider armor, which will severely increase my odds of passing away. Golden bug net. I walk over to my old Brand of Cthulhu arena and it's interesting. I think since I picked corruption during world creation, it replaced most of the crimson with the hollow. I'm looking for the blessed apple, which is a mount that provides extreme horizontal movement. Hold on, my desert is about to perish. My desert pylon is extremely important because of how far I'd have to travel if I didn't have it. So once I create a little barrier, I go back to killing unicorns. Never mind, I am not ready for this. I go back to destroying as many altars as humanly possible because I am lacking funds for reforges. I found that my max mining speed is fantastic for gathering hard mode ores, which sell for a decent amount of money. I also found that sonar potion. I also found that NPCs don't have happiness in the Zenith seed and can't experience good things ever for the rest of time. The happiness game mechanic is just gone, meaning that it doesn't matter who I'll sell to. It's all going to cost the same. I keep on forgetting to get the blessed apple and proceed to clear a large area for a corruption farm. Oh hello pirates. Boxing myself in and letting my sentries do an epic will be a common practice when dealing with events. I honestly can't remember why I made a corruption farm. I think it was for the fin wings! Yippee! I think it was for the souls of night. Soul of knights, souls of whatever. I make keys of... What am I doing? What the? Apparently crimson mimics? I only learned this after the recording, but the chosen world evil has little effect on the world. Each day, the quote-unquote main world evil switches in drunk worlds and Zenith's worlds. The first day is always the one chosen in world creation, so if I spawned a mimic in the first day, although impossible, it would have spawned a corrupt mimic, then the next a crimson mimic, then the next a corrupt, and so on. The main world evil also affects which seeds the dryad sells, whatever solution the steampunk sells, NPC dialogue, and angler fishing quests. It's a neat little addition to the playthrough that really won't affect anything. Also, why am I fighting evil mimics? I eventually make the spider armor, which... okay. Extra minion slots? If you remember from a while ago, you'd remember that sentries aren't minions. This doesn't help. Although, extra summon damage is really good, and I'm just scared of being sentenced to the 15-second respawn timer again. In fact, I was so scared of the respawn timer that I remember why I was killing crimson mimics. It was for the flesh knuckles that provide an extra 8 defense, or 12 defense if you happen to have sold 69,000 metric pounds of hard mode ore. It was worth to grind for the knuckles so I can masturbate. Why am I still fishing? We're back to fighting mimics to get the putrid scent. It gives a small damage boost and lets nearby enemies know that we buy battle pass tiers. I think it's about time I get more Soul of Night for more shadow keys to get another set of flesh knuckles. I have all these Souls of Knights, but have no Soul of Lights. Is it time to build another underground hollow farm? I really like the look of shimmer in the hollow, especially with all the other funky pink and blue crystals on the walls. I have a deep hatred for hollow farms and a deeper hatred for how I didn't record any construction of the farm. Not even a lick of recording? Maybe spare just a little peep? The last recording ends and the next begins with me sitting AFK grinding for souls. Meanwhile, I'm cleaning out my closet, and as always, I'm listening to an Astral Spit VOD while doing so. So enjoy the next few minutes of hearing me go through random garbage in my room. What's this? What is this? It's like freaking genital inspection tool or something? Oh, these thumb drives are so dusty and old. Oh, this has like a piece of onion on it or something. This 2 enchanted swords? That's tough. Tough, dude. It's funny. Oh, what the frick is this? Yo, I got the swag? Dude, I actually have the sauce. I have the sauce. I'm goated with it, as one would say. Whoa! Oh, I'm blinded by the light. What the... Holy shoes. Oh, I just stepped on scissors. Along with the Souls of Light, I am grinding for the item that caused ungodly amounts of pain in my not-so-recent past. The Rod of Discord. It has a 1 in 500 chance of dropping from Chaos Elementals. But this is Legendary mode, so it's actually 1 in 400. But this is Zenith Seed, which has the Celebration Seed. So the odds are vastly increased to 1 in 100. An entire 1% chance to get a Rod of Discord from an Elemental. I can have a green pen. Screw red or blue pen or black pen. I got green pen. I have 2 green pens for school. I'm gonna use it on the AP test. Got some artwork from my art days. Some art. Exotic butters? I have a key to the old house that I used to live in. Thank you, Astral Spiff, for ranking every jump scare. I'm listening to that right now. Do I have anything of specialty? No, I have this. That's kind of cool, I think. This theoretically shouldn't take that long, but it's me, Marcus Squishy Bluefish. I am notably very bad at getting a Rod of Discord. With all the souls I've collected, I make an absurd amount of mech boss summons that I can't use. I can't just whip out a twins fight, I have to use these summons to make another summon item, Akram's Razor. It summons question mark, which we all know is the Siren from Calamity. The next logical step for game progression is to defeat Anahita, so I begin making a huge arena in the underworld. This is where I finally realized the true power of the Giga Pipe Bomb. I always use normal bombs because they're cheaper, but I have infinity money from all the grinding I did for the Rod of Discord. I use granite platforms because they look cool. I'm not showing the entire arena building process. Is that black ink? I could finally make that one vanity set I've wanted since pre-hard mode. It's the one plague looking guy. It was put in the game based off of Soda Hunter's designs. I paired it with the blue dye to fit with my character's name. Ice! No wonder they call me Ice. Look at this drip. The immaculate drip of this. It frightens me. Iced up and bricked up, I finally get to the arena and use Akram's Razor. Don't tell me where Akram uses their razor, because the frick is that? This is Mechdusa, a feral amalgamation of the 3 mech bosses put together to form something that resembles Cthulhu himself. All those bestiary entries and Terraria theories were correct. The mech bosses reconstruct the huge beast we all know and love. And yes, the Destroyer is definitely supposed to be Cthulhu's spine. Theorists are still perplexed as for why Mechdusa spawns with 2 probes. My guess is that it is remnants from the supposed reconstruction of the brain of Cthulhu. In order to progress, you have to kill the entire thing in one run. Otherwise, Plantera bulbs won't spawn. So we are stuck with screw you McGee until I find a way to kill it. Let's make a nurse house. That might possibly help, maybe? Never mind, it freaking despawns if I'm too far away. My cavern pylon is already in use, so I have to take time to go down the Heckavator whenever I try again. So I build an addition to my secret ice base. It returns from the launched flail playthrough back to shave off 20 seconds every time I die. It's the Ultra Sigma Teleportation Room! Whenever I need to get somewhere in an instant over and over again, I will connect a teleporter to that spot so I spend less time running around. I also remember the pirates! I also remember the blessed apple that I never got. It's a 3.3% drop from unicorns in expert/master/legendary mode, and I got it within a reasonable time frame. It will allow me to escape sketchy situations during any situation that needs it. It's basically just a direct upgrade from the golf cart. Can you please? The funny minecart is so funny. I keep on hitting the mount button next to it, and instead of whipping out 61 miles per hour McGee, it forces me to sit still. I found a brand new speedrun strat for anyone wanting to speedrun Zenith only Sentries. All you do is spin cycle and destroy the minecart track. You see, it's a time save because you would be much faster if you pulled out the unicorn instead of the minecart. To be honest, I thought this fight would be way more difficult. The combination of spin cycle and Rod of Discord makes dodging incredibly easy. Quote unquote easy. The projectiles from the Destroyer don't do much damage with my Giga Defense. However, my damage, I am defense maxing with a weapon that is meant to be a support weapon. Oh, yippee! You could see the giant collection of probes I built up. I don't have crowd control or damage. Okay, well, that heckin' stings. The Destroyer doesn't despawn, so let's fast forward. Even though the twins in Prime ran away from my sheer amount of aura emanating from the pores of the Plaguebringer vanity set, I was still able to kill off the Destroyer, which unlocks a whole lot of new possibilities. I know what we're gonna do now. After the defeat of one mech boss, the old one's army gets upgraded to tier 2. And with tier 2 comes the first set of Tavern Keep armor. And coincidentally, every single armor set he sells specifically benefits sentries and summon damage. So this will be my next endeavor for the next, couple days. I buy the explosive trap cane for some reason and set off to cheese the old ones again. Finally get to use non-Tavern Keep sentries during the event. It's only the Tavern Keep sentries that use Ethereal mana, so any outsiders are chained to the sentry limit. It still serves as a good amount of extra damage though. Even then, idiot flying goons still tank through it. Throughout all my failed attempts, I am saving up mana. I do get enough defender medals to get something, and I buy a flame burst cane even though I could have just dropped the explosive cane into the shimmer. 200 mana? Is this enough? I don't know, heck it. I was more strategic? Careful? Freaking less willing to spam because it wasn't like I could place 100 sentries like before. 20 sentries was far more than enough. There's also life root that spawn after one mech boss. I grinded to get max health. I'm actually shocked it only took an hour. Dang. I then did some off-camera Old One's army grinding and finally forgot to turn on the recording to show me buying the Squire armor. If you're gonna accuse me of cheating, you'd be wrong. It's attempts At least 5. I finally embraced that comment I made earlier about calling Mechdusa feral amalgamation and actually turn on feral amalgamation. What makes this attempt different from other ones is that my entire setup changed, most notably the Squire armor. Each armor set the Tavern Keep sells benefits summon damage and one other class. Apprentice benefits Mage, Huntress Ranger, and both Monk and Squire benefit Melee, and it just so happens that Melee is the class with the most defense, so I naturally went with the Squire armor. This is like the first time I felt any lick of power in this playthrough. But it gets better when the Squire's set bonus not only makes my ballistas better, but finally, after over 40 hours of gameplay, increases my max sentry count from 3 to 5. Comparing my DPS from previous attempts to this one, holy crap, it only took 3.5 minutes for the destroyer to freaking die. Previously, it almost took 20. I have been chained to 3 sentries ever since I first beat the Old One's army, and with 2 extra sentries, I am unstoppable. You'll see throughout the fight that I prioritize preventing the bosses from despawning. I have so much defense that I'm able to tank the projectiles, minus the bombs. The main thing to avoid is contact damage because of its massive damage increase in legendary mode. I switched to Flameburst sentries, which was a complete mistake, but at the time I thought that I shouldn't prioritize Pierce anymore. I was wrong. It's fine, I switched back to ballistas. It is around here where something petrifying happens.
What the heck? Stop!
Spaz Bobby Boy begins vigorously projectile vomiting while still running straight towards me. Despite my over 2,000 hours of playing this absolute masterpiece of a game, I haven't yet beaten Mechdusa once. Therefore, I haven't played a full Zenith Seed playthrough. This playthrough is actually my first introduction to the madness. That's sort of a lie. I played it with Fridge Cheese before, but we didn't beat it. All this is to say, I've never seen Spaz do this. I switched to the Spider Queen sentries because they don't suck and inflict the venom debuff. Both the twins are in second phase, and it honestly doesn't matter. I have a ton of defense and a Rod of Discord. I am genuinely having a lot of fun just spin cycling. Spaz Bob is the first to fall, then Rentengeezer, and now I am left with an armless Skeletron head who doesn't even spin. This guy is honestly so free.
Almost done. The jungle grows restless. That's it.
With Mechdusa Red's wings? That's the guy who made this entire thing. It makes me feel some amount of comfort knowing that he's also trapped in this awful challenge. Although not physically present, he is spiritually present. Now that I have every soul, I make the one and only drill in this playthrough. I do not care what pickaxe mains say about drills. The Drax is by far the most precious item you can obtain in this stage of game progression. This is because if you were to decraft it, it gives you the necessary materials to craft the pickaxe axe. With that done, we max out our mining speed. Wait, since when did I have a hand of creation? Throughout everything in this playthrough, I've been checking in with the traveling merchants to get the components to make the hand, and it's only now I realized I got it. One Chlorophyte gaming session later, I make the Chlorophyte extractinator. There seems to be a boss that I completely forgot about. It's Queen Slime, and I was supposed to fight her in the beginning of hard mode. Looking back, I should have tried to fight her on the ground so my spider sentries are more effective, but I already beat all the mech bosses, so who cares? First phase is easy, but second phase, it stings. I switched to flame bursts, but I seem to have forgotten what they're best at, missing at point blank range. So I switched back to the spiders, and they don't miss. Neither would the flame burst if I placed them on the top platform, but these guys do more damage. This fight became running simulator. It was easy. I get nothing from the fight, except for a new town slime who probably has a lot of diseases. I'm scared. The next boss is Plantera, and I'm assuming it will be less petrifyingly grueling than the Wall of Flesh. I expand my Queen Bee arena to include a deep chasm on the bottom so I have enough space to spin cycle.
Cold worm? Wait! Oh! I have gummy worms. Wait! I'm gonna eat a gummy worm IRL and not IRL. Cheers, bucko.
Since gold worms are so rare, we should expect quite the bonus with such gummy worm. I haven't stopped fishing for this entire playthrough, and now I get a permanent sizable bonus of 3 fishing power. Hooray! I am a gamer! Gaming on a game. This is truly one of the gamest moments of all of gaming. Maybe one day I'll be able to get the honey sponge. I also get the funky jungle frog who does a funky and becomes a marketable terraria character. Jungle mimic? I thought these only existed in long lost legend. Bro has way too much health for me to care. Okay, fast forward, arena's done. It's time to deep fry salad. Plantera is definitely a boss, and maybe even a difficult one. She really isn't that bad. Her only legendary mode change seems to be these funky pink thorn bushes that appear whenever one of her hooks lands. Since this is hard mode and legendary mode, these thorns will be ultra upgraded from their normal counterparts. The arena quickly becomes infested with the stuff, and I have no choice but to tank it. 1 damage, take it or leave it. Plantera can't do crap against 107 defense. I didn't explain this when I got the Squire armor, but the helmet gives +2 regen, so getting that poison debuff does not affect me at all. I defaulted to Spider Sentries because Venom debuff, but Plantera doesn't like that too much and whips out her shiny Charizard and goes into second phase. She spawns at a bunch of these munchy guys who apparently reflect projectiles. I switched to Ballistas in order to pierce through the seizure having munchies and continue spin cycling, but spin cycling doesn't work very well, so I used the funny magic mirror strat. Plantera sucks. She is bad at gaming and can't keep up with the respawn room Rod of Biscord combo. That was first try. I am simply too good and dripped out with the plaguebringer vanity sets. I don't even know if anything can beat me at this point. Plantera's death marks the beginning of the scientifically proven best part of the game. Post-Plantera gameplay unlocks the access to ectoplasm, dungeon weapons, and pretty much every event that you could ask for, minus Martian Madness, but who cares about that? I make a metric passenger airplane of gold crowns and slap some gel on each and every one of them. I go down to the Deerclops arena and just go to absolute town on King Slime. I am looking for the frozen key, which drops from any enemy in the ice biome, who also drops money. Oh! Frozen key! Yippee! There are various chests in the dungeon that are themed around the various biomes you can find in the world. They each have their own special weapon, which usually has some gimmick to them that makes them special. Since Plantera is dead, we can unlock the ice chest and get a weapon that I have never actually used. Not even as a support weapon. Like, this thing is just so forgettable. It's the Frost Hydra Staff, and it does a crazy cool 100 base damage. It also pierces and inflicts frostbite. It's also epic and better than any other sentry I have. I am maining this crap for the rest of time. I always thought it was goofy for a sentry to be locked behind a biome chest, but this thing is actually crazy good. Our next victim is going to be Golem, who is a coward and hides in his stupid temple basement deep within the jungle, which is a lie. This seed has the don't dig up seed. It's on the surface. So I expand the horizons to my teleportation room and make it so I can instantly teleport to the temple. And this is just terrible. With all the random secret seeds mixed in, it makes the temple 3 times larger, wooden spikes extend out further, vision is reduced by 12%, far more traps are present, which does include the influx of TNT barrels, and it is painted as if someone killed the entire population of 2 Earths combined. Which, fun fact, if the temple was generated on the corruption side of the world, it would have been painted purple. There's also the legendary mode 77% contact damage increase, which literally makes normal enemies more deadly than Plantera. I have died to lizards more in this playthrough than Plantera by infinity fold. So I use my ultra huge brain and begin slowly making my way underneath the temple so I can find Golem's arena without having to go through lizard hell. I will put a teleporter there and use the Rod of Discord to get in. Scratch that, I'm a little impatient, and wow, that was pretty good. Scratch that again, I've decided I want to spawn closer to the arena. Perfect. Now I can go to Golem's basement whenever I want. Not that I want to. I begin making a Golem arena, and this time I'm not messing around. We got the campfire, bat statue, heart lantern, sunflower. I even made a little honey areas so you can get that crispy cool extra regen. In order to prepare even further, I convert my hollow farm into an iced farm and grind for the frozen turtle shell. I even go as far as to get the paladin's shield to upgrade my frozen shell to a frozen shield. It gives an extra 6 defense and reduces damage by 25% if I am below half health. This is a crazy good accessory for my defense maxing build and will contribute greatly to my body not getting one shot by Golem. Okay, it's Golem. I very much did not need to set up the god build for him. Is the Zenith seed, like, before Golem turned into an adult? Why am I blind? Frick you, I deploy 2 rows of buffs. I use the Frost Hydras to take down his stupid little grippers and move in a pattern which resembles a half spin cycle.
Just bullet hell at that point. You're just playing Cuphead without being able to shoot back.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh my gosh.
Oh, he just appeared briefly.
You can see him sometimes. Once second phase happens, I stop spin cycling and dash back and forth in between the eye lasers. I mess up a lot, but my godlike defense, damage reduction, and regen makes getting hit by projectiles trivial. It's only contact damage that puts me in danger. Also, fireballs are supposed to spew out of the flying head, but it's Golem. It's natural for him to nerf himself by going inside a wall and prevent the balls from spawning. Holy frick.
First try. You beat him first try.
That was first try. Dude, what is going on? That is 2 entire bosses. One-shot Johnson to Saturn. Can I be stopped? It must be the Plaguebringer vanity set. It has to be. Golem was outdripped and couldn't handle being inferior to me. To celebrate, I forget to turn off the recording and end up getting an hour of playing Raft with my brothers. That's cool, man. This Raft playthrough is not getting a video because this is the only recording I have of it. The Tavern Keep upgrades once again with the defeat of Golem, so it's only natural we go back to the old one's cheese. Let's see if Betsy can beat this. I pull out the legendary move called Freaking Dying, and alas, it works! I get enough medals to get 2 pieces of Valhalla armor and still need the final piece. A quick 25 defender medals later, I reload and get the final piece of armor. This brand new set is genuinely crazy. It goes nuts. It is insane. The defense is higher than the Vortex armor's defense. It also provides me with summon damage and an extra sentry slot that maxes out my sentry count to 6 for the rest of this playthrough. This is the point where I truly am powerful. And from now on, I would really like infinite flight, especially for my ultra horizontal movement ninator. It just so happens that I unlocked this infinite flight through the Empress of Light. Wait, that rhymes. I go back down to heck and break the only sentry's rule by using a hammer to kill the prismatic lacewing. I am genuinely curious how I would kill the lacewing with a sentry. I guess I'd place it in the path of one of my projectiles. Can the lightning aura rod do that? If you're playing in expert mode or higher, the Empress of Light drops the soaring insignia, which provides unlimited flight. So I naturally need to kill her every time I do a playthrough. I exclusively use frost hydras because they're good and proceed to get hit by every single attack she does. If you happen to be worried by this news, you are misinformed. I have ridiculously high defense and regen. The projectiles may hit, but I have trained my body to stop bleeding and regenerate itself at the speed of a Shelby Mustang GB500. Again, my main worry is contact damage. Physical contact makes me disintegrate, and it's even worse when it's a woman. Oh wow! Horrors! This is just Red's way of saying it's a solar eclipse. We have Sun Deity with the side of yucky manflies and vampires who suck, and it just keeps going downhill. Second phase and Donald Pump begins playing CS2. Not only am I cooked, but you are too! Why do these always rhyme? I am somehow still not dead, and it makes sense since the Terraria boss fight I have fought the most is the Wall of Flesh, but the second most fought boss is likely Moonlord. Empress is probably like 6th. Maybe 5th. I generally don't find Empress to be that bad. Legendary mode doesn't seem to change her attack patterns, plus I got a lot of Discord and a crazy tank and regen build. I'm not saying that the Empress fight is easy, because it's not. My one-shot Johnson streak got mutilated by Empress, but I am only a little bit peeved, since it was the eclipse that got into my head and threw an absolute rager without telling me. After waiting out the solar eclipse and failing to get a juicy queen beat within a reasonable time frame, I start attempt 2. I feel like every time I mention to someone I have played a lot of Terraria, they always respond with one of 2 answers. It's usually something normal like, oh yeah, I haven't played that game in years. But sometimes I come across a fellow Terraria enjoyer, and every time, without fail, they're always like, ooh, have you beat Tatum Empress? Shut up! I don't care! And you aren't special for asking. I got so sick of that being the go-to question that one evening at Breakfast King's house, I went on my Summoner playthrough on the Nintendo Switch and thought to myself, frick those idiots who innocently asked me about my achievements. You know, it would be kinda nice to have a Terra Prisma. And so it was. I have no recording of this, but I am not lying to you in any capacity. I used a controller to fight Daytime Empress and won on my very first try. She was obliterated. First try, and I have no footage. If you think I'm lying, that's great, but rest assured that the first time I tried Daytime Empress, on my own, I won. Just don't mind that right before that, I fought Nighttime Empress like 10 times, but you get the point. I have no hit Empress, just shut up. So remember, if someone says they like Terraria, don't make your first question be if they killed Daytime Empress. Death. Cool. Attempt 3 happens the next day. I'm almost at the 80-hour mark for this playthrough, and he thought he would make this into one singular video. What a moron he was. My main strategy for Empress is to not get hit by her projectiles. Phase 2 is more difficult because the projectiles tend to be a little, you know, more, and therefore I get hit. I kind of feel obligated to explain my strategy, but the section in the script is getting quite long, so Unicorn is OP, and that's a fat and scrumptious victory. If we were to ignore the 2 times I died to Empress, that means I am still on that winning streak. I don't know what to say, man. I just can't be stopped. My unicorn mount is great, but what if it were better? I start a pumpkin moon in search of the enemy that has a name which makes it impossible to make suspicious jokes about. The Morning Wood has a chance to drop the Hexed Branch. I'd say the drop chance of this item, but it changes as the pumpkin moon progresses. I got the Hexed Branch on my second pumpkin moon, and it is my favorite mount. After the slimy saddle, blast apple, lilies necklace, drill containment unit, it's a direct upgrade to the unicorn, capable of going 81 miles per hour. That's an extreme amount of speed. Our next boss is the lunatic cultist, who despawns if you're too far away. You have to kill, like, his cultists first to summon him. Sentries can't target them. I set up traps in there in order to kill them. My plan is to bait the lunatic cultist to the underworld so I don't have to make a new arena. This is borderline impossible because he does the stupid ritual attack and spawns a dragon D's before I can reach heck. Wait, no. We have a real attempt here. Never mind, he despawned again. Why is the answer just always more arenas? I make the Skeletron arena absurdly Gigantamasaurus. I'm talking very Gigantahuga I yet again employ the Giga Pipe Bomb to clear out the various collection of blocks, spider caves, and dungeon walls. I made crystal platforms made from crystal shards, not sure why. I then skip the next 20 minutes of recording to the point where I have a finished arena. The platforms are placed very far apart from each other, and I deck out the place with corrupt campfires, heart lanterns, and bass statues. Now, it is time for the real lunatic cultist attempts. Usually in these stupid challenge playthroughs I do, we find lunatic cultists playing some random game on the Wii U. And because it's on the Wii U, we bully him for it. But this is legendary mode. The lunatic cultist's extra little quirk is that he isn't playing any old Wii U game. He is playing Terraria on the Wii U. Alert, alert, lunatic cultist is doming Akram. This is evident by the fact that I cannot target my sentries on anything when he's doing the ritual attack. So I'm gonna exploit my Thorns potion and intentionally get hit in order to prevent the Dragon D's from spawning. But the lunatic begins bragging how he can craft purple thread, and my sentry hits a decoy. Wow, funny cultist man. Perhaps you've forgotten who I am. You may be cracked on the Wii U, but you are fighting against me. I am the one who beat Daytime Empress on the Switch on my first try. I am the one who has Terraria on every device that I own. I am the one who got into Terraria on the old mobile version. I thrive on weird game decisions, such as putting the Drax in shadow chests. I thrive on the extra pyramid room, and I overachieve on Lepus and Turkor. I grew up with a version more strange than the old console one. Lunatic cultist, your actions and your very presence only makes me feel more at home. Your puny rituals, your tiny minions, your strange attack patterns only make you look more stupid. You give me power, cultist, and the very essence of who I am is in a completely different realm than what you reside in. Your time is finite, cultist, and I am freaking dead! No! He could have sneezed and he would have died. Man, I even gave that whole ominous speech and... Lunatic cultist is just too good. So that means I need to surpass his goodness and become betterer. The lunatic cultist cycles through a bunch of attacks, then does the ritual. These attacks always go in this order: fireballs, cryogen, bullet hell, stormweaver lightning, more balls of fire, another cryogen, and then ritual. If a decoy is mistakenly hit during the ritual, or you don't even do anything, the ritual spawns a Dragon D's, or a flying Piscatulu if a Dragon D's is already present. The decoys also fire their purple balls at you when the main cultist attacks. My main strategy against cultist is to spin cycle, and then go in to get hit whenever he does the ritual. I keep on saying ritual. Once he is below half health, we enter second phase, where attack patterns change while introducing a new attack. He still opens with fireballs, but then he does the weird Stardust attack, then more Thunder Morbs, Stardust Pillar reference again, Cryogen, Morbing again, then ritual. Whoa! By what? By what end? What is Prophecy's end? So there's this other attack that only exists in worlds that are expert mode or above. In second phase, there's a chance for a fireball, stardust, or lightning morb attack to be replaced by the purple skull emoji attack. 3 skull emoji spawn, or more if he has decoys, and if you don't destroy them within 7 seconds, they explode into 4 little funny projectiles that deal an ungodly amount of damage. The other attacks barely do anything, but no, purple bad. Third attempt, I go in with the same exact strategy of spin cycle, but this time I pay way more attention to the color purple. I realized that my sentries accidentally hitting decoys is like extremely bad, so I placed all my sentries on the left side of the arena and then went to the right side whenever he was about to do the ritual. This significantly reduces the chance of a stray projectile killing the attempt. It doesn't really do anything if a corrupt mimic spawns mid-fight. Alright, attempt 4, 5, I don't even know anymore. I do the exact same strategy as last time, but now I hope that nothing crazy spawns. And yeah, it's just me versus Mr. Wii U Terraria. All it takes is time. Just like every other boss fight, all I have to do is wait for my sentries to kill him. Boom. Boom. Holy crap. Wow, that gore is actually gory. With the end of Wii U Fanatic marks the end of the scientifically proven best part of the game. I freaking hate the pillars. It gets even worse when they are all underground. Some are in easy to access places, whereas others specifically try to find the most inconvenient spot imaginable. I first go to the Nebula pillar, since I consider it to be the worst, and it happened to spawn in my jungle arena. I then promptly get dealt 229 damage while dashing into a brain suckler who proceeds to do over 100 damage every time it hits me. There's a lot to be said about the pillars. I believe the best option for them is a complete rework. This is like your opportunity relogic. Just mini bosses. I need to mod this game. Frick, dude. That's my job to do. The Nebula pillar just makes me angry. The solar pillar is kind of wacky and a little quirky. It happened to spawn in a spot where I could stand just outside of its range so I can deal with individual waves of enemies, instead of constant feeler after feeler going off because stinking Hackett forgot to shut the door!
Okay, you're the only one alive right now, by the way. We're all
Wait,
down.
what? What does that mean? I got no ammo! I think the solar pillar took the longest specifically because of its wall phasing enemies. Luckily, sentries persist after death, so as long as I get one down next to the pillar, it will eventually chip its health to 0. I then go after my favorite pillar. These guys love being weak and stupid and exploitable. All you need to do is aura farm for a bit, then give the pillar some funky new friends. I don't think I have ever been more scared in Terraria than when I tried to get the vortex enemies to spawn. If you get close enough to the vortex pillar, portals will begin appearing around you, spawning a bunch of vortex hornets. In the past, I used this to exploit the pillar, but I can't really control where the portal spawns, or at least I don't know how. So I do the most terrifying dance of running in, letting them spawn, trapping them inside, waiting until they die, and repeating this until the shield goes down. This works, but I would not recommend it. This finally leaves me with one final boss. Yeah, boss. Funny Eldritch Squidward Moonman, the devourer of success. All I know going into my first fight is his funny Zenith seed quirk. After he's done blasting his death ray, his top eye spews out a bunch of bouncy moon boulders, which deals a family tree ending amount of damage. But if you get them to spawn inside a bunch of blocks, they won't be able to hurt you or your family tree. I go down to the underworld since that useless ceiling tunnel thing I built does great when preventing moon boulder spam. But this strat kinda sucks. It's not working. I try to die to a moon boulder because that's kinda funny, but I dodge it instead and die to something else. All that I thought in the moment was that this was gonna be another wall of flesh situation. It's not gonna be a matter of getting better equipment, it's a matter of becoming better at the game. But just like the wall of flesh, I have to realize that Terraria is the player's sandbox. Why would I ever have to get good when I have the willpower to not do that? I could go for the old one's army cheese, but I'm not fresh out of options. After some testing in journey mode, I come up with this. I call it I don't know, but it's something. This structure is built specifically to avoid the attacks that I just can't handle. The boulders just can't go through blocks, and the death ray is avoided with the teleporter. And the homing guys get stopped by these walls sometimes. The other attacks like the lasers and the eye things, I simply need to tank. You get the point, right? I get a bunch of regen and defense to tank as many attacks as I can. But the whole setup falls apart when the eyes begin to pop out and do a bunch of attacks that are just unavoidable. So what if we just remove the eyes? We return to the old reliable NPC limiting. It's the same crap that killed off the Eater of Worlds in an instant. If you max out the NPC slots, the eyes just simply won't spawn. I'm not entirely sure why, because theoretically the hand NPC would get replaced by the true Eye of Cthulhu NPC, but I guess the hand is always an NPC with or without the eye. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but either way, NPC limiting works. I go back to the real Only Sentries playthrough and rebuild that structure out of granite because it looks nicer than wood. I then go on a grind to get a set of accessories that give massive boosts to regen and defense. I then attach the funky Moonlord cheese build to my ultra, and now I am ready. You know, as great as the Moonlord music is, I have heard it way too much. I do not give a crap anymore. My setup consists of the Celestial Shell, which gives a whole frick load of benefits with regen and defense, and I am an idiot because I also wore the Celestial Stone, which doesn't stack with the Celestial Shell. To further maximize my defense, I had both the Frozen Shield and Hero's Shield, and to further maximize my regen, I got the Charm of Myths and the Band of Regen. For armor, I have the Valhalla pants and shirt, but I use the Squire helmet because it gives an extra 2 health per second. But not having the Valhalla helmet on means that I break the armor set bonus, so I lose 2 sentry slots, forcing the fight to only have 4 sentries out at any given time. And that's like the only downside to this build, other than the fact that I choke and get hit by the Giga Laser. The next attempt, I do the exact same thing. My third cheese attempt goes decent. I'd even call it a good attempt. This is gonna be my first time seeing an eye get NPC limited to oblivion. That somehow didn't happen. I built this extra ceiling to prevent stray homing projectiles from hitting me, and the same exact eye pops out and kills me. Oh boy, do I love redoing the pillars! I paused the recording so I don't have to comb through another hour and a half of pillar grinding. Something went wrong. I placed every dummy I couldn't spawn any more bees, and the eye still popped out. We have to improvise. So let's introduce a third way to clog up any remaining NPC slots. We bring back Squidward, aka Cthulhu's old friend, that we graciously killed quite a while ago. It's the Eye of Cthulhu! The Eye of Cthulhu spawns a bunch of servants in his first phase, which will serve to fill up any more NPC slots that are still open. I get Squidward's left eye down to a minuscule amount of health, and watch as nothing happens. Holy guacamole. Guacamball torch. The Eye of Cthulhu officially prevents the real and official Eye of Cthulhu from spawning. As the fight goes on, I watch in fear and excitement as I see the right eye do absolutely nothing. I run into a little bit of an issue when dealing with the top eye, since my sentries tend to sometimes target the normal Eye of Cthulhu. But that's okay, I could just spawn another one. But I'm a little stupid and didn't think of that in the moment, and decide to do the most terrifying thing. I teleport out of my safe teleporter room and try to raise the ceiling so my sentries don't hit the Eye of Cthulhu. This kills all the servants that the eye spawned, which doesn't do anything yet. The top eye still has a ton of health. I somehow pull it off. I didn't need to do this. It doesn't even work. I guess this was a choke, but it didn't kill the attempt, so I'm concluding that I'm just a little stupid. I eventually do get to the point where the top eye is about to die. So I yet again spawn the Eye of Cthulhu, but he doesn't. This is a good sign. All the dummies, bees, and servants are successfully blocking any and all NPCs from spawning. I re-equip my Valhalla helmet to get my 2 sentry slots back and make this part just go a little faster.
Please. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's over. Oh my gosh.
There are 2 more sentries left in the game, and both are dropped by Moonlord. I didn't get either one, and at this point, I cannot be bothered to do that entire fight again. The Lunar Portal Staff is inspired from the Vortex Pillar, but its attack has nothing to do with the Vortex Pillar. It does crazy damage, and that's pretty much it. The Floating Crystal Staff summons a floating crystal that does things. It does do less damage than the Portal Staff, but it looks cooler. The next boss on our list is Duke Fishron. I tried fighting him earlier, but we don't talk about those attempts. I've already beaten the game. Stupid Duke Fishron. While I was editing this playthrough, school decided it would pull a stupid and grabbed one of those electric mixers and used it on my brain for like 5 hours straight. I went into a mental breakdown, and editing this playthrough was the most enjoyable thing I did when recovering. This playthrough consumed 90 hours of my life, and seeing it come to an end makes me a little emotional, but also really excited. I really want to move on to other projects. This is my last Terraria video until 1.4.5 comes out, and my biggest hope for that update is a fixed respawn timer. I'm not even joking. I died a total of 651 times this playthrough. When each death takes 15 seconds, that means I was looking at a respawn screen for a total of 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 45 seconds. That is over 2.5 hours of me not even playing the game. The new spectating feature gives me hope that the timer will be shorter when there's no bosses active, but we'll just have to see. Anyways, thank you for watching, and goodbye.